Rarely as a member of the church are you supposed to speak out for your pastor. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank each of you on this dais, and I want to thank every single person that is in this room this morning that is a part of this prayer gathering. Again, I want to say good morning to everyone, and I want to thank the faith leaders and public officials that are gathered here today in reverence of our nation's day of prayer. It is truly an honor to be with you today on such an occasion. You know, as I look across this room, a room full of men and women of different ethnicities, races, and creeds, what I realize is that we are bonded by our shared belief in peace. And we are all united in our commitment to provide a voice to the voiceless and defending the rights of the less fortunate. You see, historically, the National Day of Prayer dates back to President John Adams in 1798. However, the annual tradition of the Greater Birmingham Mayor's Prayer Breakfast was established in 1964. And I can assure you, Birmingham in the 1960s was in much need of prayer. For America, Birmingham was the symbol of racial oppression. We were referred to as the Birmingham and the Johannesburg of the South. And in the midst of the organized sit-ins and boycotts, Birmingham elected a mayor by the name of Albert Boutwell. You see, Mayor Boutwell was perceived by many as the opposite of the bigoted Commissioner of Public Safety, Bull Connor, and the rampant vitriol that, unfortunately, all too common during the 60s that fought against righteousness. Mayor Boutwell was in need of prayer, and I humbly speak on behalf of all the mayors that are sitting in this room and the elected officials in this room when I declare that we are in such need of prayer as well. As I begin to wrap my mind and my spirit around the significance of today, I often reflect on the lessons of Archbishop Oscar Romero of El Salvador. Prior to his assassination, Archbishop Romero made this timeless declaration, and I quote, "A church that does not provoke any crisis, preach a gospel that does not unsettle, proclaim a word of God that does not get under anyone's skin, or a word of God that does not touch the real sin of the society in which it is being proclaimed." What kind of gospel is that? Given the historic role of the church in the movement for peace and equality, Romero's words should resonate with all of us sitting in this room. Romero's words, the Archbishop's words, should resonate with all of us in this city. Alabama has produced a long list of religious leaders like Ralph Abernathy, Joseph Lowry, and Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. Each of these leaders possess a willingness to provoke the crisis of Jim Crow and get under the skin of the status quo of their time. But in 2018, for every religious faith leader in this room, now is our time. And Birmingham has our own crisis. But here's where I am in my seat as the mayor. As members of the clergy, you represent our community. The funerals of our young men and women take place at your churches. The grieving families call your churches and are members of your churches. The jobless, the underpaid, the underserved are members of your congregation. Many of your churches and mosques are located in the food deserts, surrounded by blighted homes and abandoned lots. You see, I believe wholeheartedly that as members of the faith community, you are the innovators. For generations, your churches, your synagogues, your temples, and your mosques. Each of these holy places have served as incubators for social progress and economic justice for our community. And as Mayor of Birmingham, you better believe that I will do everything in my power, to ensure your places of worship will continue to serve in this important sacred role. But faith leaders, I need your help, and I really need you to understand what I'm about to say. While the faith community and the local government sit at the intersection of transformative change, tackling the problems of today requires a new model of engagement. A model where City Hall can look to the faith community for solutions. A model of engagement where a mayor like Albert Boutwell can follow the lead of the 1960s faith leaders to a path where a vision for a city can stimulate change. Before I close, I would like to highlight a group of clergy in New England referred to as the Boston 10-Point Coalition. Founded in 1990, this group of Christian clergy and lay leaders worked to mobilize the community around issues affecting Black and Latino youth. Issues very similar to what we're facing in our city today. They established partnerships with nonprofit organizations, the government, and local corporations to create programs to fight gang violence and drug abuse. Gang violence and drug abuse aimed at the troubled youth. And after a few years, violent crime went down in Boston. Juvenile drug offenses decreased, and soon after, City Hall started paying attention. Boston Police Department also started paying attention. And together with their city council, Operation Ceasefire was created. And since its establishment, lessons learned from Operation Ceasefire have helped catapult new legislation that helped deter violent crime and gang violence at the very root. And what I submit to every faith leader in this room is that unfortunate violence has a grip on our community here in Birmingham. But what I love about what I just said about the Boston 10-Point Coalition, every single thing about their solutions started at the church, started with the church, started with faith leaders. I'm a born-again Christian. I grew up in the North Birmingham neighborhood. However, I don't care if you're Baptist. I don't care if you're Hindu. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care if you are Jewish. If you are interested in advancing the everyday lives of families in Birmingham, you will have my full support. I don't care if your church has 1 member, 10 members, 100 members, or 1,000. We have a community to serve. We have a community that is crying out not for just prayer, not for just faith, but real action to help our people. Again, our programs call for a holistic approach. We all must work together, regardless of our faiths, regardless of where our church is, and focus on a shared commitment to providing a voice to the voiceless and defending the rights of the less fortunate. You know, before I take my seat, there are many things that make us different. Things such as our gender and or the neighborhood we grew up in. And there are many things that divide us, such as race and politics. However, I will ask that the faith leaders in this room and the faith leaders across our city and our region and our community help me elevate the conversation around what it is for the church to serve the community. My pastor taught me the importance of tolerance. My mother taught me the importance of tolerance. And what I realized about tolerance is I can accept another person's faith. I can respect and appreciate another person's beliefs. I can appreciate their opinions and not necessarily box them in, that their opinion is wrong and my opinion is right. Because an opinion is just that. And now as an adult and a community leader, tolerance of another person's faith and or how their church participates in serving the community is at an all-time importance. Let us move away from talking at each other and let us pivot towards talking to each other to better serve our community. Thank you.